Walmart and Home Depot, TV news, and cocaine. What do all these three topics have in common? We're going to discuss them right here, right now on Night at the Round Table. Hello and welcome to Night at the Round Table. My name is Howard Kaplan. During the next 30 minutes, you'll see a lively conversation among four individuals all having a lot to say. Art Davidson is not here tonight because he's covering the Red Sox, and for that we really pity him and we welcome him back, and we want him back soon. I'm sure he wants to come back. Joining us tonight at the Round Table are Tricia Davidson, Dedham attorney, Chris LaFontaine, Bedford Public Relations Specialist, and Peter Chisholm, Assistant to the President of Framingham State College. All right, Butch Hobson is caught with cocaine in his shaving kit. Lawrence Taylor is picked up for a drug charge. What in the world is happening to our athletes, our role models in society? Chris LaFontaine, what's going on with our athletes?
You left out Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin, that's right.
Got some, bought some coke and brought it back to his hotel. Then later was caught on film after he.
That's right. But I mean, what about this this story about Butch Hobson? He says, "Oh, gee, I didn't know that there was what to do with it. I didn't know first of all that this was cocaine, and I didn't know."
He's not stupid enough to admit it.
Well, I didn't at first think he was smart enough to do it, but I think in retrospect, after some of the stuff I read, he's joined the number of professional athletes that have run afoul of the law with drug problems and other problems too. I mean, the athletes today, they've been always looked upon by young people, and I think because of when they've had incidents, they've been coddled by the law. And now what's happening, there's almost an epidemic that started last fall with Lawrence Phillips at the University of Nebraska, literally killing a woman, dragging her down a flight of steps. He gets, probation, community service, because he's an athlete. The fellow that the Patriots drafted is, beating up women.
Christian Peter.
Yeah, Christian Peter. Yeah. For several years. And he's always literally walked, in probation or something. The Hobson case. And the press highlights these stories. It gives them so much coverage. How many of you know what happened to Emmett Smith a week ago? Did you read what happened to him?
No.
Is he running back? He graduated from college.
Oh, yeah.
He went back to college and got his degree.
Yeah.
But there's, they don't want to mention that, the big media.
What is wrong with our society? I mean, I love sports. Let's put it right on the table. I love sports. I love to watch it. It's great. I don't really like watching the Red Sox lately, but what in the world why does this society look up to athletes like no other society does?
And then I think that's the problem. It's society's problem that they look up to these athletes. I mean, I think the athletes are a mirror of society. They're like anybody else. A percentage of them is going to do drugs. A percentage of them is going to break laws, just like people in society. And there are other people that kids should look up to.
Is Butch Hobson really stupid or what? I have to say, and I'm going to get it out now, I hated Butch Hobson as a manager. I couldn't stand Butch Hobson as a manager. He has got to be one of the most imbecilic individuals in professional sports.
No. See, you got it all wrong. He thought it was one of those perfumes they gave away in the magazine.
Oh,
so he took it away and he was
right.
going to bring it back to his wife.
Right. That's right.
That's
one of these little powder things.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But Butch Hobson is such a loser in my book. First of all, to play third base with bone chips in your arm, and to be a pal of Don Zimmer's.
He also had bone chips in his head.
I admired Hobson as a player because of the fact he always would play hurt. But this type of thing, what I've heard now, and some other stories I've heard about him from some people I know.
I
can't condone that at all.
This is nothing new for Hobson, and that he has a history, and no one knows for sure whether he was clean when he was managing the Sox. And you're right, it's a sin in the society that we worship the athletes, and to some extent, anytime they're caught for this type of outrageous, illegal conduct, it makes the press. Because there's also the anger. How, with these people who can presumably have everything. I mean, they've got the fame, they've got the ability, they've got the talent, they've got the money, a phenomenal amount of cash. How can we lump them the same type of problems that, people on the streets of Boston have? Or, I suppose, out in the suburbs, too, because I guess, drugs is not confined just to urban areas.
But also, things haven't changed. The only thing that's changed is the press coverage. Many years ago, if Babe Ruth was covered as much as the athletes today, he was a hard drinker and a hard liver, and Ty Cobb.
John F. Kennedy, for that matter.
Ty Cobb was a racist, and if they had the kind of coverage there, it would be just as bad. It's just that media spotlight, as Trish said, it's the big dough. They could do anything they want to.
The trouble is they can do whatever they want, and then nothing happens. They get suspended sentences, and they'll fly off to Betty Ford's clubhouse, golf club day, whatever they call it out in California, they need to go to jail. If you lock some of them up for a good long time.
Absolutely, I agree with you, Peter.
If Taylor goes to jail now, Michael Irvin goes to jail for 10 or 15 years, so he'll never play. He said he wants to get traded to Miami. I like to see him go to Leavenworth for 15 years.
That's right. The poor schmuck in the inner cities in Boston gets thrown into jail for 10 years or 8 years, and these professional athletes, these professional athletes just are able to to gallivant around and go back and play the next day.
To back that up, what did Irving say when the cop came in? Do you know who I am? I'm Michael Irvin of the Dallas Cowboys. There you go, bingo. Lays it on the table. I mean, that's
exactly
the treatment he expects.
Well, look at O.J. Simpson. Look at that case. That case proves the point.
Well, it proves that you can buy justice. Absolutely.
Right. And also, if you're famous and people like you, no matter what you do, unfortunately. But Butch Hobson's case, did Butch Hobson really underestimate the intelligence of the American people to say, gee, this guy owed me some money. I got this package. Gee, there was a magazine in it. Wait. There was a magazine in it. I opened the magazine, and oh my goodness, there was some white powdery stuff. This is exactly what was recounted in the Globe. Okay.
Really?
Look at that, free baking soda. That's amazing.
The other thing, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I panicked. And I put it in my shaving kit. I didn't want to go to the authorities.
Well, first of all, if the guy is using cocaine or has any type of a drug problem, I think it's reasonable to assume he's going to lie and make up whatever kind of ridiculous story and not necessarily tell some type of a cogent explanation. I mean, if somebody's having a drug problem...
My question was a rhetorical question.
Obviously.
Right, no, it was a rhetorical question.
I don't think he was thinking of how ridiculous
the guy is an idiot. The guy was an idiot as a manager. He's an idiot in life. He's an idiot as a manager of the Red Sox.
He's not too smart.
And he replaced Joe Morgan, which I will never forgive Lou Gorman for having done.
He's a loser who failed, and he doesn't have the money that the athletes
of
today do. So his career now is
in a shambles.
As what it is all he has.
Yeah.
So he's desperately.
He probably thought of what a good lawyer was going to cost him to get him off. So he tried to take the sympathy route and thought maybe they'd let him go there.
There was an interesting piece in the Globe last week about this, and the Globe article quoted team members and also fellow coaches on the team that he was a manager of, saying, we didn't notice anything unusual, except the day before on Friday, he came to work sneezing, red-eyed, and he was stuffed up nose, and they asked him, are you okay, Butch? This is the catch. And this was buried in the story, which leads me to believe also that some of the press is kind of being very soft on him and have been very soft on Butch through the years because he's a so-called good old boy and nice guy. But they said that the other
I disagree with that.
Hold on. That the other coaches asked him, "Is there anything wrong? Are you okay?" And he said, "Oh, no, I don't have a cold.
Just did a little bad coke." That's
They asked him,
coke would have opened the nose for him.
And he said no.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way too. A lot of the drugs are in all parts of society, and it's very probable that members of the media, participate in little recreational uses too of drugs and alcohol. And so they're going to be kind of careful on what they write too, because why throw rocks at a glass house? So
it's also that you have to deal with these people, and not that any respectable member of the press is going to take it easy with his legitimate news story. But you're also not going to make outrageous accusations that are going to sabotage your own relationship with, with these players and actors, and your own credibility.
I think also too that the media is a little gun shy after the whole Reggie Lewis deal. They're the backlash against them for that. I think they're a little wary to go after anybody.
The Reggie Lewis issue. Well, obviously it's going to be real. It's probably going to go to trial, and I think a lot of the misconceptions or rumors that were associated with them are going to be cleared up in a hurry.
But let's just get back to the question, though, of why our society idolizes professional athletes as it does. Tricia, why do you think?
Because sports in the society is a big money-making deal.
It's money.
Because we are inundated, whether it's a broadcast of shows, merchandising, marketing. I mean, look at the billions of dollars that have spent, and the money that's increased, the expenditures that have increased over the last several years on team jackets and the marketing of the players. It's the whole American commercialism package that idolizes
and I love sports, but it's sick. It's sick, and I love sports.
You know what I think also, too, is, I mean, it's only natural for kids to idolize sports heroes. They watch sports, they like sports, they haven't, they like this particular third baseman or that running back. But I think the problem gets is when you get to like the college level, and those athletes are getting away with everything. And the kids look at that and say, well, why are they getting away with crimes they're committing? And they're not being punished for it. And that has to stop. If you commit a crime, the kids have to know that the athletes are just as, working under the same laws that everybody else is.
And it's not admiration for somebody's ability, and that's what's become warped. I mean, when you followed the great baseball players of the 40s and 50s, the Mickey Mantles, I mean, you were in awe of what they could do, and they were the showmen, and there was some integrity there. And now it's marketing that makes us fall in love with these players.
And let's face it, Mickey Mantle was he lived life hard, but you didn't read about that in the paper.
No,
so it seems like a more innocent age because you remember what he did on the field because you never read about what he did off.
Drinking, right? Exactly.
And now you read both. So I think that's.
But you have to. These guys are on it. I mean, every paper has its own sports section. And the kids see these things and the mocking of all these material goods. I mean, I went to a Final Four a couple months ago. The amount of clothing, hats, everything for sale at big money, jackets, $150 to say Final Four Meadowlands, and people buying them, kids buying them, and the autograph business today for athletes,
It's big money, and that's a wrap on athletes and cocaine. Next topic, Walmart, Home Depot, and home quarters. It seems like, especially in our broadcast area, a Walmart, a Home Depot, or a home quarters is popping up every 2 seconds. They're huge. Some say they're tough to get around in. Some say they come and take over a whole town. Peter Chisholm, what do you think about these superstores? Is it getting too much? Would you rather just go back to the small stores?
Oh, definitely. I mean, like we did a show a few weeks ago about the New England Town Meeting. I'm a sentimentalist. I like the neighborhood stores or the local store. These big stores, I've been to Walmart a couple times last December. I happened to drive. I kind of went and looked around, spent maybe $10 there. I haven't been back since. Headquarters, a Home Depot, whatever they call it. I've never been there. These clubs, so-called, these whole BJs, where they give me a break, please.
Sentimentality aside, and I think most people will agree that they miss the corner hardware store, but sentimentally aside, a consumer is always going to prefer a place where he or she can go to and get the most product, the best selection, one-stop shopping for the lowest price. And let's face it, these home quarters in HQ, they undercut, their prices are cheaper. They've got the best selection. If you're doing a project, that's where you want to go. One-stop shopping.
Old Peter.
The selection is better.
5 minutes from my house is the town I live in. Is Monarch Supply in Framingham, the hardware store. I've been going there 20 years.
Great place.
That's where I go.
And
I'm not going to drive another 15 minutes.
The thing is I do love these superstores. I love them. They're a lot of fun. They're almost like a toy store. You can go into these hardware stores and you can get anything from a birdcage to a mailbox. And I think we may have actually gotten both. But the point is that you go in and it takes you 3 times as long because the stores are huge just to go through the front door and just to take a right. I mean, there are about, and I'm not exaggerating, about 50 aisles in each store. And so how do you find your way around? It's just crazy.
Yeah, but the best of those stores, the staff really is trained very well. And I've noticed, particularly in home quarters, that the people are extremely cooperative. Obviously, Home Depot as a corporation is very customer service oriented, and the people are trained and they know exactly where the stuff is. And it's not what you would expect, but the staff seem to be very, very helpful, and they will help you maneuver that gargantuan maze.
I don't care for these big stores.
I think the bottom line is that these stores are satisfying people's needs, where the other stores didn't, and that's why they're not here anymore.
Are we sure that those other stores didn't, or maybe these stores satisfy a different need?
Well, if they didn't satisfy the needs, they wouldn't be there because they'd be out of business.
Well, let's face it,
we have to take a break. We have time out. We have to take a break on Night at the Round Table. We'll be back right after this word from Walmart Home Quarters and Home Depot. We'll be back after this.
I think those stores...
Lose a child to AIDS simply because they didn't get an HIV test when they were pregnant. You see, there's now treatment that can help stop the spread of HIV from mother to baby, which gives children of HIV-infected mothers something they never had before, a chance. If you're pregnant, please get an HIV test.
Your child out here unprotected? Never. neither would you forget his baby shots. Yet nearly a third of our babies' lives are on the line, because even with regular doctor visits, they haven't had all their shots. Ask your doctor. Please don't leave him out there alone. At least 11 shots by 2. How sure are you?
Okay, we're back at Night at the Round Table talking about Walmart, Home Quarters, and Home Depot. And a lot of people say that Home Depot and Home Quarters take jobs away, and I think that that is ridiculous, because basically what happens is that these small stores, yeah, perhaps they do close down, but the people, all the experts, all the hardware experts in a particular area, they go to work for Home Quarters and Home Depot, and you get the best local people at these regional stores.
Sure, and you like it. In 10 years, there'll be, you know, you'll have the mall. We'll just have malls and these superstores next to the malls, and there'll be nothing downtown. And I'm sorry, I don't like that. I like the data with the little
but
town.
But face it, Peter, and it's an unfortunate fact of life that time today is at the utmost premium. If people have a few precious hours to go out and do their shopping on the weekend, one-stop shopping, that's the way to go.
You know, and maybe people are going to have to start looking at their downtowns differently. And maybe not a place where you go to do your shopping, but you do other things. And you know, what needs of the people in the community aren't being met, and I think that's what your downtown will serve.
That's true. I mean, actually, that's a very good point, because we're assuming that downtowns have to have these big hardware stores and these big department stores, but now what's happening is that they're catering to personal service, like barbers, hair salons, antique stores, things like that,
in fact,
and restaurants.
Excuse me, there's a magazine I received called Governing that just had a story in their April and May issue about the resurgence of downtowns. They focused mostly in the Midwest, Oklahoma and a couple other states out there, Nebraska maybe, and they were talking about how downtowns now are becoming, you know, the stores are filling up again. They've gone through the same thing as we have to on the East Coast, and they're, you know, they're resurging again. There's resurgence in the number of businesses in downtowns. The vacancy rates have dropped off. All kinds of businesses are opening up. They talked about like antique stores in one neighborhood. You know, there are 3 or 4 of them. And other businesses opening up, and hopefully we'll see that in the East Coast in time.
I think a good example maybe is Moody Street in Waltham. I mean, that has come back from the dead, and you see a lot of, you know, interesting restaurants there and other things that are, you know, bring that street back. And
the other thing too that bothers me is that everyone's always dumping on Walmart. Walmart is aggressive. They're a company. I love to go to Walmart. I get a big kick, as my wife knows. I love to go to Walmart. Yep, yep. It has everything you could possibly need, from fish, live fish, to shaving equipment, to vitamins, to whatever. I mean, you can get it there. You can get clothes there, and some of the clothes aren't bad.
Well, what Walmart has been criticized for is going in and undercutting all the local businesses, and then when all the local businesses are forced out, then they raise their prices after everybody's gone, and they received a lot of criticism for that. And I don't know whether it's true.
But if that were actually a valid charge, though, then wouldn't you see the Walmarts disappearing? Yeah. And other competitors coming in and undercutting them?
That's capitalism. Yeah. I mean, that would take care of itself.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard that, but how can there be any validity to it when Walmart is doing very well?
Well, they do competitive pricing. Their prices may go up after a while, but then if they see a store that's going to compete with them, I guess these club stores compete with them, then they balance it off, you know.
Well, ultimately, everything is market.
I also like at Walmart the personal greeter. I do like the personal greeter that says, hello, how are you? In fact, I actually know someone who used to be a secretary at the law school that I went to, and she retired, and she became a personal greeter, and she was actually featured in the Herald, the Boston Herald, a few years ago.
Jobs, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a fun.
And I think you made a good point earlier, Howard, about, you know, taking away jobs from the small. I mean, how many people actually work in a small store as opposed to a Walmart? I mean, how many jobs has that created as opposed to jobs taken away?
And also, if you go to work for these companies, you're going to get benefits that certainly not going to get on the small. I mean, on a smaller scale, health insurance and access to 401ks. And
I really wonder about that, if the larger stores provide better benefits, because I think a lot of them, they just rely basically on part-time help.
It's usually there for those who want it, but usually the type of employee, particularly like a Walmart, is primarily a part-time employee. I think your Home Depot, Home Quarters, where they're looking for people with some expertise, they might offer more job security.
I think that's a great example too, because I mean, you pine for the older days, but the older days had Grossman's and Somerville Lumber. Those were the super stores of their day, and now they're going out as Home Depot and Home Quarters becomes more successful, and
Okay, wrap-up question. We got to leave this topic. Tricia Davidson, which is going to survive, Home Quarters or Home Depot?
Home Depot, definitely.
Okay, Chris, Home Depot, Home Quarters, or both?
I like Home Quarters.
Okay. And Peter, Home Quarters, Home Depot, which is going to survive? Both? None?
I've never been to either.
Okay,
so I'm going to vote for Monarch Supply.
Okay. All right, next topic on the Walmart, Home Depot, and Home Quarters Night at the Round Table. Next topic, TV news. Where do we get most of our news from? TV, newspapers? A recent poll that just came out said that the viewership on TV network news is dropping like a rock. Also, newspaper readership is dropping like a rock. So what's happening? Are we all becoming a nation of imbeciles? Tricia?
Yeah, I think part of it is Americans are apathetic and uninterested in what's going on. That's not around their own life for the most part. And I think also Americans are becoming very distrustful of the media in general,
I think people want to be entertained. I think people want to be entertained, and I think they can't be bothered by things. There's so much brain candy out there, including this show, actually. But there's so much brain candy out there that that people, it's just a natural human condition. What are you going to watch? You're going to watch a great rock video, or are you going to watch, you know, something deadly about the budget?
Well, I think people are so overwhelmed. I mean, there's more stress on the job. There are more pressures at home now, I think, as we discussed in many different ways on this show. And that people are just not concerned enough about the plight of the world. Well, it's a downer. The news is a downer.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I was in a communications conference recently in Chicago, and this was a big topic. And I think what we all had agreed upon was that Americans are looking at news differently now. They want news on demand when they want it. And they can go to cable, they can go to CNN and get news 24 hours a day.
Don't forget WACT.
That's right.
WACA-TV.
That's right. We are WACA-TV.
They can go on the internet, onto news sites. They can, I mean, they can get their news instantly. They don't have to wait around the clock for 6 o'clock to roll around. By the time that news show comes on, they already heard all the news of the day from all these other sources.
They do, and surprisingly, I've read that most people trust the news in CNN more than they do the from the three, you know, former major networks, ABC, CBS, NBC. And in newspapers, the trust level is very low. And I believe that it was USA Today that had the highest level of trust. I think it was around 34%. And it's interesting that CNN, and of course CNN's headline news branch, as well as USA Today, it's very brief news, a very small amount to digest. And you know, I think it's not overwhelming the reader. Yeah, you're telling me they're not overwhelming the reader or the list or the viewer. You know?
Well, I mean, you take, you know, I was a big sports section reader when I was a kid, and the next day, looking at the box scores, that was the thing. You get the paper, you run out, and you open the box scores. Now you can go onto a website and you can watch the game as it's happening. They have sites that are set up that update games every 60 seconds, and at the end, they've got your box score, you've got what they did each inning. I mean, it's making some of these things a little bit obsolete.
I don't think people watch things like that very much.
I
mean, people do. I don't know. I think, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people watch computers. I got to change the subject just for a second. I like shut-ins that spend all their time on these web things, what they call it.
Oh, I disagree with you, Peter. I don't think shut-ins.
People spend their time working.
I think you're both right. I think you're both right. I think that there are a lot of people.
Maybe geeks might be a better word.
I think you're both right. I think Chris is right. No, I think Chris is right that there are people. There is a substantial number of people that fairly intelligent people that are doing this. I don't think they're shut-ins, but I agree with you. I agree with you that it has not. I agree with you, though, that you know that you know it shouldn't. That it's not.
I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about professionals who are working in their office that may, you know, go into something, look up a ball score. I'm talking about the people who you see them in their homes playing in these things. You know, these people.
It's a very small percentage of the American population that's online. I mean, these statistics and these surveys that talk about folks who are watching the evening news, and I think people have lost their respect for the evening news because they recognize that the advertisers have some control over content. And noble notions of freedom in the press are fantastic.
You have fake car crashes, you've had fake this, you know, with the news media.
Yeah, but I disagree. People still want to know.
The teasers they use have lost credibility.
People still want to know what's going on. And if you look at the news shows at 6 o'clock, they're changing. They're getting longer features that are more in-depth, and they realize that's the only way to go because they're losing all the people to CNN who get the news when they want it. Yeah. They turn on, they see CNN, I got the news I want. Why should I watch it at 6 o'clock? I already know what's going on.
Yeah, but if you want local news, then obviously, if you want to know what's going on in the city of Boston, for example, you've got to look at one of the networks.
But they're not talking about local news. They're talking about the national network.
Well, no, the local network news is.
Yeah,
I mean, the local is down as well.
Oh yeah, it's all down.
Yeah. I have come out of my brain lock, and
that's a good thing we were worried.
Sorry, I was coming for you tonight.
Well, no, I was fixated. For some reason, I was fixated on these shut-ins. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think that they would have, higher priorities than
no, that's their lifestyle. They just sit there in front of the computers all the time.
Actually, there is a high percentage of retired citizens who are on the internet.
People
the shut-ins, I think, have
I think people. I'm talking about people who make the minimum incomes, who don't have a hell of a lot of money, who go out and overspend by spending $1,500, whatever it is, on these computer things, and they spend all their time with this. To them, this is the real.
I don't think the demographics will back you up on that one.
Well, I mean, I think that there is a big mistrust of newspapers, and I think that comes out of the 70s. I think a lot of people in the 70s felt that the newspapers were very liberal, the Globe with the busing issue. But beyond that, I don't think people have any time. I just don't think people have time to read newspapers.
That's another factor, too.
I mean, I find it difficult just to read the Middlesex News, which is the paper in Ireland.
Sure, and as you say, you premise that you started out with, when people have
no shortfall,
a little bit of leisure time, they don't want to get bummed out by reading the news, and I think it's as simple as that.
Right.
That's right.
I was going to say, too, I think, actually, the people who read papers today are commuters, who take public transportation, and a lot of people who may work, in blue-collar positions who will have get to work and have a coffee break and sit down and read a tabloid like the Herald, where they're able to read it pretty easily,
See, I think that there's another reason.
A lot of us don't have the time.
I think there's another reason which we really haven't explored, and that goes back to my original point, and that is that people like to be entertained, and that there's so much more entertainment media out there today. I think people like it easy, and that people are going to gravitate toward the most attractive, the most sexy, the most, easy on the ears, the most musical media. No, because you see it all the time. Years ago, people might have read the Boston Evening Globe at night, whereas now they'll sit down with a People magazine, or they'll watch MTV, VH1.
Even in Boston, we saw one of the networks, CBS in Boston, when it was Channel 7, tried to go for more glitzy, sensationalistic type of approach to his news media, and it failed miserably within this community. People did not take it seriously. But
that's within the newscast itself.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but what I'm saying is that people don't even get to the newscast. People don't even think of putting on the newscast because they're so busy with, and sometimes that includes myself. I mean,
but the network,
with the more glamorous magazines,
but the station executives, I mean, that was the motivation to try to capitalize on people's yearning for entertainment value and trying to sell the nightly news in a more glitzy, sensationalistic kind of way. Didn't work because people found it not credible.
I think also what you said, Howard. I mean, the time factor. I mean, I know so many couples who are both working. They get home from work. By the time they make dinner and that's finished, they want time to play with the kids.
See, I think it's so easy. I think you're absolutely right, Chris. But I think it's so easy for the four of us to sit here and say, it's all these sociological reasons. But if you go to people that aren't as perhaps enthusiastic or intense readers as we are, or up on
things, that's a part of it too.
Up on things, they are reading. But they're reading and they're watching more glamorous stuff about entertainment, fluff, and I do
trash is what they're reading.
That's exactly right.
Trash. That's what it is. VH1, MTV, People magazine. It's trash.
And it goes
hard copy.
It goes down.
Let's get right to the point.
It goes down to American education. We're deficient on history. We have no sense of our own history. We have no sense of the global history. I mean, how many Americans could name the Secretary of State? How many Americans could name the Vice President? I mean, abominably low.
Right. My last point is that we have more news out there. We have more media outlets out there to deliver the news, and people are more ignorant of what's going on than ever. We want to thank you for joining us at Night at the Round Table and becoming enlightened and using us perhaps as brain candy. We want to thank you for joining us on the Walmart home quarters and
as opposed to nose candy butch, right?
That's true. Edition of Night at the Round Table. My name is Howard Kaplan. For Tricia Davidson, Chris LaFontaine, Peter Chisholm, and Art Davidson, who's on assignment covering the Red Sox. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Exactly. I really want everybody to have a safe summer.
Yes.
Along with that too, it's like the parents, or even the kids, the older kids, when you're out there driving, is you got to be aware that the kids are going to be out there running up and down the street, out of driveways. Slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Right. With school getting out in a couple of weeks, the kids are going to be on their bicycles. The parents should make sure they do have their helmets and go over some bicycle safety with the kids. They can always come down to the police department. We'd be happy to review any bicycle safety with them. At any point in time, they can stop in any one of the shifts.
Same goes with us at the fire.
Right, and definitely be careful because the kids are going to be out there walking and riding their bikes in the afternoon, morning, and evenings and night, of course. So be careful. Yep. Please be careful when you're driving.
Definitely. If anybody was wondering, this is just a few kids out here having a good time, and they don't even know the camera's rolling right now because the cameras have been set up for a couple hours, and it's fun to see them play. You can be safe at the same time. That brings up another good point, Dave, is you got the kids out here playing, you got this nice pool for them to play in. You know, a lot of safety goes around that also. As far as if the kids are in the pool, you should have at least 1 or 2 adults out here watching them.
Definitely. Don't let the kids swim unsupervised. Don't let them swim by themselves. Make sure there's some flotation devices for the kids. If they're small, they can't swim by themselves. Obviously, an adult should be in the pool with them. But keep an eye on the kids while they are swimming. If you notice, guys, there's a hook hanging on the wall over there.
Oh, yeah.
That hook is designed so if someone is in distress, instead of going in and try to get them, because when someone's drowning, they're a lot stronger, you just grab that hook and you hook them and bring them to the side, and then they can get out.
Reach them first.
Yeah.
There was 3 things that you do. You remember what it was, Dave?
Yep. Try to reach them with something first, then try throwing something to them. Then if those 2 don't work, then you have to go in and get them.
That's right.
So it's reach, throw, and go.
That's right. And in the meanwhile, I hope they're going to be calling 911 on the telephone, and at least someone to get us rolling.
Right.
So if there is a problem and they don't get them out safely, we'll be right there.
That brings up a good point. Is a lot of people don't think about that, as far as having a phone near the pool.
That's right.
They spend all this money on putting this nice indoor, in-ground or above-ground pool in the fenced-in area, but they don't have a phone near it.
It's really inexpensive too. I happen to have one right behind me on the wall here.
Yep.
A few extra dollars and I have a phone out here. It works great.
Definitely.
Another thing is having a fence in between the playing area and the pool.
Right.
I think that's very important. It brings a good point. Just give me a second here. What I want to do, this is little Richie. He's playing on his little toy here. But what we don't want to do is leave the gate open, or Nance, just take him for a sec because I want to show everybody.
Just for one
Say
thing.
hi to everybody. Hey, everybody. Yeah.
You brought up a good point there, Davis. Even though he was in the playing area, he doesn't have the proper clothing or life protection to be in the pool area.
That's right. What I wanted to show you is this is an example of what happens if a toy doesn't have a fence between the play area and the pool area. The child doesn't know the difference. The child just keeps going. And unfortunately, it won't end up like that, but it'll end up like that. And now the child's going to be in distress. So we don't want to have any toys that are on wheels near the pool area.
A good point brought up on there, Dave, too, is on the side of the adults is bring the toys out of the pool area that don't belong there.
That's right.
Right.
Bring up the kids to know which ones go there or not.
We got to remember that the pool is designed for swimming and that kind of stuff, but the yard is designed for toys on wheels, swing sets, and things that you don't have to have life preservers on and stuff like that.
Right.
You should have some rules and regulations for the pool area and make sure that the kids are aware of these and review it with them so they know what their responsibilities are in the pool. There shouldn't be a lot of clutter that kids can trip on or fall on.
Right.
And no glass and things like this, which they could smash and cut themselves on.
Another thing, concrete. It's very dangerous. You got to try to tell the children, do not run around the concrete.
Right.
Because they fall, they can hit their head and be seriously injured.
Right. That's right, because a lot of the kids, they'll just have their swimming trunks on or their swimming bathing suits on, and a lot of their skin is exposed to get abrasions and cuts and
lacerations from a fall if they're running.
Yeah.
You know, I know every parent doesn't like it either, but there's a point in time where you have to tell the kids, get out of the pool and warm up.
That's right.
So you have to look at the kids, you know, if they're shaking a lot, if their lips are turning purple and that, take them out of the water for a while. Either, you know, give them something to eat or wrap them up in a towel like you see the kids over here, and, you know, keep them warm.
Yeah.
Good point, Dave.
The sunblock, too, is very important for the kids. They're in and out of the pool, it gets washed off, so keep them exposed to some sunblock so they don't get the sunburns and so forth. The exposure from being outside all day is very important.
One thing is, too, is even though we're talking around the pool and bringing up about on different things to do at the pool, if you go to one of the state parks or to any of the beaches, the same rules apply.
Right.
Have the adult, have the sunblock.
That's right.
You know.
Absolutely. If they are going to the beach, make sure that the kids don't go too far down, wander off from your location so they're not in your sight. Make sure you're in the water with them if they're out there paddling around or whatever, so keep a close eye on them. A lot of times different people go to beaches and you have to be extra alert.
Exactly.
When you are at a beach, people talking or coming over to your kids. Talk to them about stranger safety, not to talk to strangers and so forth, and be careful and alert to the dangers of strangers and people they may not know, and people that they know also.
That's an excellent point, Scott. It's things that you don't think of every day, you know.
Right.
Right.
I have a wife and 2 kids, and I don't think of that stuff all the time.
Right. You become complacent, you're following the same routine, but reality is you have to be careful out there. We don't know who's out there and what's going on, so, and if there's an opportunity, these people will take that opportunity to maybe grab a child or abduct a child. God forbid anything like that happen. But you have to be alert and be careful and tell your children so that they can have some type of a plan to deal with it.
Like you said too, is a routine. If you go to the same beach all the time and do the same things, somebody's out there watching you, they're going to learn your routine and they're going to know when the perfect opportunity to grab that son or daughter of yours.
Absolutely, these people will watch you. That's correct.
Good point. And if there's a stranger in the area, it's up to the parents to maybe make a call and say, hey, there's someone that doesn't really fit the picture of being at a beach today.
Right.
Can you send someone out and
absolutely,
you know, maybe check them out?
We'd rather get a call to come and investigate something or check something out and have it be nothing. So feel free to call anytime for any reason, for any type of suspicious people or persons or anything like that. If we can be of any help or assistance as a police department and also as a fire department, don't hesitate to call. If the child is sick or injured, we can always come up with the ambulance and check them out, send a cruiser up as well, or we can investigate any type of suspicious people or suspicious incidents. So please let us know at any point in time.
Police and fire are there 24 hours a day.
That's right. Just a phone call away.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
And if you think of it, you know, now with the police department being on the bike patrol and that up in the state parks, they may even be closer than that, and they don't even know it.
That's right. We're on the bikes. We're out there. We have a silent approach, and we could be anywhere at any time. And you know, feel free to come up to us on the bicycles, talk to us, advise us. If you have some information, just pass it along. If you want to stay anonymous, you can do that as well. But we're open to any information that anyone would like to bring forth and pass along to us as a department. By all means, please do.
Actually, our last segment was on bike patrol. How are they doing?
They're doing real well.
I've noticed a couple articles in the paper of arrests and so on.
Yeah, we made some successful arrests, and we're doing the community policing on the bikes. We're talking to people. We're getting out there, talking to the kids, talking to the local merchants. It's a great success.
That's excellent.
It's going very well.
It's nice to see them out there all the time now.
Yeah.
It's going very well. It really is.
Good.
I believe together police and fire are involved in a bike rodeo that's going to happen any day now.
Right.
Right before school ends, and they're going to give away 4 bikes.
Right.
And we're going to try to outfit anybody who doesn't have a helmet with a helmet.
Right.
It's good. Donated by police and fire.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Just call the police department or call the fire department. We'll give you the information as to when and where, and it's going to be a great thing for the kids. They come down, go over some bicycle safety. We'll show them and demonstrate some tips on bikes, how to be careful and how to keep an eye out for cars and so forth. And it's going to be a great time for the kids. So we encourage anyone to come down, everyone to come down, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. They actually want us to have a little booth, maybe to show some first aid things too.
Fantastic.
And then your bike patrol will be out there. enforce.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll just have to demonstrate. We won't actually have to do.
That's right.
That's always.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned to me the other day, it was kind of funny. They said we had a little incident with a 15-year-old in a bike accident. And I said I couldn't believe he didn't have a helmet on. And they were saying that the age is 12 and under for a helmet.
That's correct.
But
Well,
I noticed Bike Patrol wears them too.
I think it's 12 and under, it's the law. 12 and above, it's common sense.
Yeah.
Yes, we recommend that all people wear bikes, especially children.
Definitely.
At 12 and under, you're required to have a bicycle helmet for a child when you're riding a bicycle. But we recommend that everybody, adults as well, wear the helmets because it's so easy to fall off a bike and it's unplanned and you can really get a serious head injury.
Yeah.
So be smart, wear a helmet.
That brings me to another point about the head injury part. If someone does get injured, we have to advise the public, do not move the person. Have someone else go and call 911.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, that goes for pool injuries.
Yep.
If someone's injured in a pool, bring them to the side, get them out of the pool, and call 911.
But I would say if they know how to get them out of the pool safely, if they don't know how to get them out of the pool, roll them over so they can breathe on their own, and then wait for 911. You know, wait
And
for a
I
fire.
also recommend everybody who can call the Red Cross and take a CPR course.
Right.
Definitely.
If you can't get a hold of the Red Cross, American Heart offers a course. If you don't need to call them, you can call the fire department. We have a couple instructors.
Because this is the time of year when these injuries happen, and if someone's not breathing, that couple minutes that the people at home can resuscitate before the ambulance and police get there,
Right.
you know, it's all the better.
Exactly.
The results are a lot better.
That's correct.
The last thing I want to see is any one of these little kids anywhere get injured or hurt, and that's why this show is here.
Yep.
It's to help protect the people.
Just to bring some things to mind, to review some safety measures and be careful out there and tell the kids to be careful and take their time.
I think going away from the pools for a minute, one thing I'd like to touch on is a lot of times in the summer, you get the people out in the boats. Yeah, whether it be a canoe, speedboat, motorboat, whatever. First and foremost is have the life jackets. Every person in whatever type of boat you have should have a life jacket. And no alcohol.
Yeah, that's important.
Right.
Whoever's driving these pieces of equipment should not be drinking at all because it just impairs your vision and your reflexes, and God forbid anything like that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Not to mention that you could be charged criminally for operating the boat
Exactly.
under the influence of alcohol or any other type of drug or medication.
Now,
So absolutely,
does that fall
law
under the
applies.
police department or does that fall under the environmental?
The police department, but the environmental police are out there on the lakes and ponds and, of course, in the ocean, and they enforce this. So be careful out there. Use
There's
your
no
head.
doubt in my mind that we can have a good time without drinking out there.
Yes.
You know, as long as you're
Right.
with friends and family, that's what it's all about.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on that note, I think we'll get up and stretch our
Okay.
legs.
Thank you, gentlemen. It was wonderful.
Yep.
Maybe we'll wave to the cameras up there.
Okay.
Now watch out for yourself. My cord.
We want to thank Barbara Chisholm, Paul Bodwin, Stephanie Mathias, and Chris up on top of that van. I didn't get his last name, but he looks like he's doing a great job.
Don't forget all the kids that came out here to
Dude,
help
don't
us
lose.
out,
All the
too.
kids.
You're losing your thing here.
What's the matter?
Watch out for this.
Oh, geez, Dave, you're losing your mic.
Hey, watch out for this.
Take care.
Be
Come on,
careful.
No!
Enjoy. Where's your life jacket?
Take care. Have a great, safe summer.
Go get him, Brian. Go get him. Get him the ball. Oh, geez, we forgot to take your mic off.
Hey, give me a hand.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Dave Irusi from the Ashland Fire Department, and today we're going to do a little show on non-safety of equipment in the lawn and the yard. Right here we have a rototiller, which is a great machine. It'll rip up the grass and make a nice new lawn. But one of the problems with it is if you don't use it properly, you could really injure yourself very badly. So what we want to do is, you know, use your safety equipment, make sure that your safety flaps are working properly and stuff like that. And, you know, you should wear work boots and gloves. And most of all, a lot of things people don't do when they do yard work is wear safety glasses. Always wear safety glasses when you're doing work, because something chips up. It could take your eye out or injure yourself. The other thing I want to mention is, say that you're doing some yard work and your children are around. You don't want them being around when you're doing yard work, because when you're mowing someone's lawn or your own lawn and you hit a rock or a toy, it could take off very fast and hit someone and injure them, and they'll end up in the hospital. The other thing is, all lawnmowers now come with safety shutoffs. This is one of them here. You got to hold it in when you start it, and as long as you hold it in, the mower will run. But as soon as you let it go, if you fell or something, the mower's going to shut off. So you always want to make sure everything's working properly on that. There's a shield in the back. That's a safety flap there. You want to make sure that everything's working like that, because if that's not there and you bring your foot too close, you're going to cut the tip of your toe off. So again, you know, work boots and gloves, all that stuff. This here is a chipper shredder. It means what it says. It'll chip and shred anything. Sticks, shrubs, any of that, branches, but it'll also chip your hand off too if you put your hand in there. This here, if you're ever going to clean it out, you want to make sure that the piece of equipment's off, because you reach your hand in there, the mechanics of it are turning so fast that whatever you put in there is going to take off. So you don't want to put your hand, your feet, you know, use things safely. Use your common sense. Shut the pieces of equipment off before you reach in to take something out. Another thing is, you don't want to be playing with the equipment after it's run for a while, because if you touch any of the equipment after it's run, it's going to be very hot. The other thing is, you also have a gasoline source here. You know, you don't want to be checking the gas while you're smoking a cigarette or something like that, because it's going to blow up in your face and you're going to get severely injured. Again, like I say, the reason for the show is to show people use safety and common sense when you're running the equipment. All the safety equipment works properly. Don't touch it when it's hot. Keep children and animals away. And, you know, other than that, keep your surroundings safe. You know, if you're working with a piece of equipment and all of a sudden someone comes in the yard, you can't hear them, you know, so always be looking around. Make sure that, see, the children are walking in the yard now. Say I was mowing the lawn now and coming around, I don't see them. They're going to be right in the way. And young children, all they're interested in is playing. They don't understand that a piece of equipment running can hurt them. And most adults don't either. That's why, you know, use your common sense and watch out for your precious children when they're out in the yard. Another, you know, great thing that come out was in Inside Health here, right out of Framingham. It gives you, you know, the do's and don't about, it says don't cut corners on lawnmower safety. And there's an estimated 25,000 people injured every year in lawnmower incidents. And about 95 of them will actually die from the injuries. So again, you know, read up on things, read up on your manuals of each equipment and what the safety operations are, and, you know, be concerned of what you're using so you don't injure yourself or other people around you. And a nice day like this, the last thing you want is someone to get hurt. You know, you're out to just mow your lawn and then all of a sudden you're calling an ambulance, which you can do anytime if you need it. You know, we have the new E911 system in Ashland that you can call and we'll come right over and take care of the problem. The other thing is, one of the problems I see is when you're using the equipment and something goes wrong with the equipment, something gets jammed up or it stalls out, now that's when the problems start, because now you're saying, it catches you off guard. You're saying, what's wrong with the lawnmower? or maybe I need to add a little more gas into the hot mower. You know, that's no good, because now you spill a little gas on the mower, it's going to blow up in your face. Or if something's jammed up underneath the lawnmower, you're going to reach under there and grab it. That's no good. You know, let it cool down, maybe pull off the plug wire so it can't start by itself, and then you can start taking off the piece of string that got wrapped up in the impeller, or pulling out the wet grass. Say it was dark out and you just got home late. Don't go mow your lawn in the dark, because that's asking for problems. You can't see what is out there. You're going to run something over and hurt yourself. And the last thing we want in Ashland is for any of our Ashland citizens to get hurt due to a lawnmower or rototiller or a shredder chipper. We don't want that to happen. Thank you very much for joining us on this safety tip of lawnmowers and other equipment, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hello, we're at another segment with Ashland Cable. This is the gas grill safety, and safety around cooking outside. And what we're going to do here is show you, this is a natural gas grill here. It doesn't have a propane tank. It's piped right into the street natural gas. Turn a valve on and light it, obviously. What you do after is, when you're done, you shut the grill off, but you also have to shut the main valve off, because it comes directly from the street, like I said. One thing about this is they burn very hot, and you don't want any children around when you're cooking. It's good to wear a glove, because sometimes you'll go and do something else, come back, and now the food is really blaring, So that's pretty hot now, and you don't want to be sticking your hand in there without a glove, because it's real hot, especially with the grease popping up and all that. So we'll shut it off now. But to show you how hot it is, say your child was out playing around or whatever, and they came near the grill. You don't want to let them come near, because it's real hot, and that'll give you a nasty, nasty burn. And that's why you use a glove to keep it cool and all that. Another type of grill is just a regular charcoal grill. Over here, you got to be careful, because you're using a flammable liquid to get the charcoal going. Some people use various different kinds of methods. Hopefully not gasoline, but it could happen. And you don't want to be squirting it directly into the fire. You want to douse the blocks first, and then stand back and drop your match in. Another good thing, which you probably don't see too much, is to have a ABC fire extinguisher nearby. You get a good grease fire or something, like for instance this one here is pretty close to the building. The fire could spread quickly up into the roof area and take over the building, and now you got a full house fire rather than just a little grease fire. The next thing I want to do is just show you, on the propane tanks, this could technically work with this grill. If it wasn't natural gas, you use propane. This tank here is, I wouldn't use it. If you brought it to have it filled somewhere, they'd probably say no good, because it's outdated, it's old, it's been outside, and it's rusted. So you want to make sure that you have a tank that's, been tested and has the seal on it that says it's okay to use now. This one has what's left of a warning tag that says this cylinder must never be taken into a building. A lot of people I've seen keep their gas grills inside, to keep them out of the weather and stuff. That's fine if you want to keep your gas grill inside. Take the tank off, put your safety cap on, and leave it out away from a building somewhere. The same with gasolines. You don't want to use any kind of a gasoline to start your grill, because again, you're using something that's not designed for the grill. What happens is, on a hot day, it'll vaporize, and then as soon as you get a match near it, it'll poof, and it could burn your arm, it'll singe you, take over. So you don't want to use any kind of flammable liquids. You want to keep all flammable liquids, gases, away from structures, somewhere safe, way in the corner. Another problem that we've noticed is in complexes, multi-family dwellings and stuff, there's not a lot of places to keep gas grills. So people have them on their porches, under their porches, wherever they can go. And the problem with that, as in a recent fire in Manchester, was there was a grill underneath the stairway, and it involved the whole structure, and
it turned out to be not only a 2-alarm fire or a 4-alarm fire, it ended up being a fire and rescue. So firefighters that first got to the scene had to rescue people before they could even attack the fire. So you don't want to keep grills in close proximity of a structure. You know, keep them away, out. A tree's better than a structure, you know? Keep it near things that won't cause serious injuries or fires. And I want to thank you for watching today, and have a safe summer. Bye-bye.